Okay, so let me see here. Like I mentioned, we are covering GitHub Actions with Terraform. So we're going to be setting up a pipeline, and the rest, this is supposed to be a multi-day assignment, and I think I might have even mentioned that last week. But I think for whatever reason, it got broken up this time around. So instead of going through and running through the rest of this exercise this week, you'll go back to it in a few weeks. But we're going to learn how to set up the pipeline today, and we're going to introduce some content that kind of makes a little more sense in between here and there, right? So we'll start to talk a bit about integration testing, adding monitoring, and working with SonarQube, which is like a quality assurance testing tool. So that's going to be the rest of this week. We'll cover a bit more monitoring and alerting next week, and that's going to include doing a bit of CloudWatch, working with Ansible Beats, and then you'll be putting it all together um, on the 3-day pipeline exercise. It still says week 14, it should be week 16. All of that will get updated, but that is the goal. We are squeezing in some content in between these parts of the lesson. So, so then what are we doing today? Like I said, we will be introducing Terraform to the mix. So far, what have you all done in GitHub Actions? Can someone just summarize?
I would say we learned how to uh, like clone down a repo, make changes, push it back, look in the actions. You can use the templates, like looking through the templates and modifying those.
Mhm.
And basics, yeah, that's all I got.
Okay. Have you all covered secrets yet? Was that covered on Saturday?
Yes, we did the secrets.
Okay. Okay. And if I look at last Saturday's thing, the way secrets were covered, you did these directly in the GitHub UI, right?
Yeah, we would create the secret in the on GitHub.
Cool.
Or and then I think Chandra also in because you introduced like the environment variables within the YAML files and then pulling them from because you can do more than just secrets. You can get all sorts of stuff in there. But
Okay. But it was all through the UI.
yeah,
Okay. Cool. So we're going to work a little more with secrets. It's just a necessary step, but we're also going to show an alternative way of doing that. So rather than going through the UI, we're going to look at how we would do it through our terminal. So let's get back to today's lesson. We are on week 14, and we are going to create a new repository. So I'm actually going to pull up VS Code. I'm going to clear these screens because there's kind of a lot going on here. Okay. Also might want to just have this. Actually, no, I'll do it like this. Okay, I'm gonna make a new directory. I think we showed you last week how to use the GitHub command line, which is slightly different from the Git command line. It's pretty much a convenience tool. It lets us do things like create repositories through an interactive menu, right? So I'm going to do a GitHub or GH repo create and create from scratch. I'm going to give it a name, a very creative name, and I'm going to select my account, give a description, set my visibility, add a README, add a git ignore, select a template for my git ignore. In this case, I'm going to select Terraform, and I'm going to say no to adding a license. It's going to ask if I want to create this repo just to confirm. I'll say yes. And it asks if I'll want to clone it down locally, and I'll also say yes. Okay, so now I've got my new repository. Cool. It is pretty much empty, which is what we would expect. And now we can start adding some secrets. So let me let me move this away real quick while I uh, yeah, let me see. Oh, that's not working. Okay, I'll just show my environments file. It's not a big deal. I was trying to do this in another window, but it's being wonky. Okay, so this is what my environments file looks like, right? It's got like secrets and all of that stuff. Everything that you were doing the other day where you were setting your AWS access key and tokens and all of that stuff, you were doing it straight in the UI. You can also do it in an environments file locally. You could have it inside of the project, which is what this README is suggesting, or you could also have it stored in a somewhat permanent location, right? In my case, I've got my environment file inside of my SSH folder. So where it tells us to run some of these GitHub command line commands, I'm just going to make sure to point to that directory. So ghsecret, this is the command we're going to use to set some secrets. This will set these same secrets that you were setting inside of your repositories manually in the UI. Okay. So we do a -F for file, which now allows us to grab every secret inside of the environment file and add it to the repo. So this is super handy if you've got a bunch of secrets and variables that you want to get over to your repo, but you don't want to have to put in manually one by one. Just run this command. Oh, right. And I just said something about making sure to point to it. Okay, so I'm going to go to my home directory, my SSH folder. I'm going to point to it, and bam, it has grabbed all of my secrets and it has stored it in the repository. We're going to do the same for our SSH private key. Now, you could put the contents of your SSH key inside of your environment file. Probably not the best practice. Instead, we'll use that ghsecret set again, but instead of passing in -F for a file option, we're going to specify the name of the variable. So in this case, we want to set a value for the SSH underscore private underscore key. And we'll be using our handy little redirect symbol, grabbing a value from that key. I don't think it's the right key, but I'll just change that. So ghsecret set SSH underscore private key. And I think we've been using cp class students.pem. So that's what I'm going to write. And let's just expand this so it's a little easier to read. Again, we use GitHub command line secret set. The variable we're setting is SSH private key. We use redirect to grab the contents of this file. So let's hit enter. And now I have my secret set for this as well. If we go to the actual repository, we'll see inside of our settings, inside of our secrets, everything that we had added in our terminal. So very fast, very easy. That is the power of the GitHub command line. Okay, so let's close that. That's not what I want either. Shoot, not what I want. Whatever window I was in. Okay, cool. Okay, so now that we've got our secret set, we can go on and start creating some actual files, right? So we're going to make a workflow. Our workflow is going to spin up a Terraform environment. And I think this is something that hasn't been covered yet. But it honestly is pretty straightforward. You've already started working with a variety of GitHub actions, like capital A actions. And we're just going to do the same thing for Terraform. We're going to grab the official Terraform actions and we're going to call them sequentially. So first, let's make our workflow. And it's going to be in a .github directory with workflows, subdirectory. I guess I'm going to call it tf-apply. And save real quick. And I'm going to also make a Terraform file and a Terraform directory. Okay. Let's use our very standard boilerplate for our Terraform. We set a provider and a version for that provider and a source. And then we can work on our workflow. All right, so let's give it a name. Terraform apply infrastructure. We use on to specify the trigger for this workflow. Why is it complaining so soon? That's kind of annoying. Okay, it's gonna show those red lines for a while. What else? We are also going to add a release. And then we're going to set some additional values. Okay. So some default values. These defaults are going to be shared by every job. So by setting these values here, we can use them anywhere and everywhere. So set run to a shell bash. So all of these are going to use bash as the shell and a working directory of Terraform. Okay, what else? Right, we set some environment files, so we want to make sure those are still set. And we do env, whoops, env. I'm just gonna copy all of this from the README. Save. And what else? Okay. We are also going to add some permissions that we want shared. Pull requests will have write permissions, and we'll set read for the contents permissions. Now, we can finally start to add some jobs. So we are going to create a build job. We're going to specify the system that this runs on, and Ubuntu latest will do just fine. And now we can set some steps. So we're going to set this to an action. Well, this one's the basic GitHub action that lets us access the files inside of this repository. within our workspace, and then we are going to create some additional steps. All right, so this next step, now that we've used the checkout action to have access to files like our Terraform file, we can start setting up a Terraform environment. So we're going to do a setup Terraform as the name. It is going to use this action provided by HashiCorp. Setup Terraform at v3 with a specific Terraform version, and it looks like 1.82 should do for now. Now that we've set up a Terraform environment, this is essentially the same as installing Terraform um, on your local machine, right? So that's what's happening here. And the next action that we're going to want, well, actually, it's the only action we need. Now we could actually just run and use Terraform commands. I guess we're also going to want to pass in an SSH private key. This is going to be in preparation for later on. So we'll just go ahead, get that thrown in here. This command is not a crucial command, but this will help with troubleshooting. So if we are running into any issues during this process, one of the things we can look at is if our workspace has the files that we expect. So that's what that's going to do. Now we can write SSH private key to file. And this command is going to use pipe so that we have a multi-line command. We're going to make a directory, .sh directory. We're going to use the home symbol to make sure that it creates that in our home directory.
Julius, I have a question. In line 38, you have a exclamation mark before the forward slash, but
Uh,
on the GitHub, there's a tilde there. Is that a specific reason for that?
Yeah, that was just a typo.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, we're supposed to use the tilde because that's the symbol for our home directory. Okay, thanks for that. Okay. Now we can use echo, and within echo, we're going to use some string interpolation to grab the SSH private key from our variables. So this points to this, which points to our repo's secret, which was grabbed from our gh secret set command. Okay, now we use our redirect symbol again to send this value to a new file. ID under RSA, and we're going to run chmod to change the permissions on this file. Okay. And oh, for whatever reason, I have that same. Oh, I guess this is to like confirm that these were created. So that's why that's there twice. Might as well. Doesn't hurt to have it. And looks like the last step here is to initialize Terraform. Okay. So we're basically running the Terraform command, which we have access to now that we've used set up Terraform, and this should be good. Let me run through. This is giving you a warning that I don't care about. Git status. I'm going to do a git add dot to represent my present working directory, which will add everything inside that is not yet added. And then I'm going to commit -m for a message. I usually just say init for the first commit. And yes, I'm going to save. I'm going to go back to, okay, yeah. I made sure to set this to push or to go off when I push to staging. So I'm going to also make sure that I'm on the right branch so I could push to that branch. So I'm going to do a git checkout -b for branch, stg. I modified my file, so now I gotta add it and do another commit. File. Not even changed. And okay, this should be good. Now we can push to staging branch. Oh, no, I have a dash there. Okay, let's check this out. Create a request. Go to our actions. Check out our logs. All right, our build job is kicking off. We're setting up a job. We're running GitHub Actions. It's setting up Terraform. It's going really fast. It just ran Terraform init, and it showed here what we would see in our terminal. And that was it. It's successfully completed. Okay, so easy peasy, right? Let's add a few more steps to this because why are we just initializing a Terraform environment and not actually doing anything with it, right? So let's see, what are some things we could create in our Terraform? One thing we might need is let's add a variable. We're going to add a variable called SSH private key path. This way, Terraform can utilize our SSH key. And why would it want to do that? For the Ansible setup later on. So let's add a description, add the SSH private key, and we're going to specify a type. It's going to be a string, and that should be good. Let's see. What else should we do? I'm debating whether or not we should. Yeah, let's do it. Let's actually go ahead and add some instances. Okay, so I don't know if it's absolutely necessary right now. I guess we could do this just so we can try SSHing onto the EC2. So I'm just going to rename this to today's demo name, Feb3. S22 and 80, 22 for SSH, 80 for HTTP. And let's put this in the context of Ansible. Okay, so let's say if we were creating a control node and a target node, then we'll want to do the same for our targets. So let's rename that to targets. We'll leave it like this for now. I don't think we're really going to need any additional permissions. And let's add some instances. So this should still work. This AMI, we have a key name. I don't know if that's the actual key name. I think it's CP class students, right? Okay, so we're gonna do CP class students. We're gonna duplicate this for our target node, right? And we renamed our security groups. What did we rename them to? FF3. Three demo targets, target, control. All of this looks good. I'm going to save, and I'm going to add this. Oh, we're not done yet, actually, aren't are we? What's the point of updating the Terraform file if we're not adding commands that will actually utilize it, right? So let's do a Terraform plan, and it's like going to be the exact same syntax. We're going to give it an ID, and we're going to specify the command we're going to run. Okay, and let's just go ahead and actually add the Terraform apply as well. Be a little impatient today. And let's see, Terraform apply dash dash. Now this part is pretty important. We have to use the dash dash auto approve because we don't want it to prompt us for permission because then it's just going to hang, right? So we use auto approve to ensure that it knows to move forward when we run our apply. Now, let me think. This should be good. We might. Okay, no, yeah, this should be good. I'm going to save. I am going to make sure I add this. I'm going to do another commit. Terraform, and I'm going to push to staging. Okay. So we're updating our Terraform. Our build has kicked off. Are initializing Terraform. It's running plan. I think it's a good sign. I don't think this is a good sign anymore. I think it's taking a little too long. Definitely taking too long. Okay, let's go back and see what is happening. It looks like it's hanging. It's not giving us any indication of why or if it's making any progress. So it's supposed to be running through all this. And that key should be the key that it expects. but not necessarily the key that we have to pass in right now. So and anyone want to take a guess as to why it's just hanging?
No clue.
Was that no clue? Yeah, kind of stumped myself. Let's do a refresh. Okay, so yeah, it's still here. Why is it getting hung up on defining this variable? Is it because when it runs the Terraform, we specified a path to this SSH key? It's just the key. Not even being used anywhere. Maybe that's why. Okay, okay. When we go to our Terraform plan, we can use a -var to specify a variable. I think we called it SSH underscore private underscore key underscore path. And this, whoops, is going to be the .ssh underscore ID RSA that we created earlier, right? That's got to be a forward slash. So earlier when we created a private key, we we stored it in this location. And now we're specifying in Terraform that this variable will point to this location. Okay. So I'm thinking it might be prompting for a value because we never specified that value, and that's why it's just hanging. It's requesting a prompt that we can't respond to, right? So we're going to update our file, our Terraform, sorry, no, our GitHub Actions workflow to make sure that we specify the path, the value for that variable. So let's go ahead, let's kill this. Let's add our changes. Let's see, add SSH path. Okay, all of that is as expected. And we're going to push to staging. Whoops. Oh, yeah, I need to specify my remote. So git push origin and then the branch staging. Okay, let's take a look. All right, much better. Okay, so we ran our Terraform plan. It gave us a bunch of positive values. All these green plus signs means these are the changes to expect. Okay. And it failed on the Terraform apply. Okay. Why is that? CP class students does not exist. Okay. I believe we let's back up a bit and let's see if we missed the step. AWS key ID. I don't think that's the issue. That should be fine. What did I do at this step? Did I not copy the right secret? Oh, right. And I could check. Well, yeah, I can. I can check the secret to see what the value is. Could have sworn I grabbed the right one though. Okay, well, actually, let me think through this. So we pass it off to the SSH private key. Okay, got it. And we save this to ID RSA, right? So that's supposed to be ID RSA. Let's change our EC2. So instead of using CB class students, RSA is what we want. And let's add our changes. And let's try again. Hmm. The security group already exists. So this succeeded on the last run. Now, now it doesn't like that it already exists. We could update our Terraform file to make this a data block as opposed to a resource. We could also use import. That way we don't have to That way we don't have to rely on a data block because if we rely on a data block and these security groups get deleted, then they're not going to exist and it's going to fail. So if we use import instead, then we can continue to utilize resource and it will work whether or not the resource exists. So let's see here. Might be might be jumping a little ahead, but let's do this anyway. Unless it's too much. If it's too much, let me know. But we're just going to add one more step to our workflow to check for these existing security keys. Okay. And if we forget this, we'll see it again in a few weeks anyway. Okay. So I had to find the command because there's a lot going on here, but let's see what's happening. We're adding a step where we check to see if these security groups exist, right? And how are we doing that? We're first setting a variable, existing control, security group, and in this variable, we're calling this command, or I should say for this variable, we're calling this command. AWS EC2 describe security groups. This is the AWS command line command to describe security groups. And we're going to filter by specific group names, right? So we do have to change this a bit because we changed these names. But let's go ahead and add that to our workflow. And we're probably going to want to do this before, maybe before the plan. I think it could be after the plan. As long as it's before the apply, we're good. But I'm going to just have it before the plan for now. And again, it's a lot to look at, but if we break it down, it's not so bad, right? As we're filtering, we are passing in the values that we want to filter for. And these are values that we've changed. So let's go ahead and change these to what we need. Command D to select all similar instances of this text. And we are going to say fab3-demo, no, just fab3. I'm going to double check my Terraform. That looks good. Fab3-demo-control. Going to hit save. And so if it finds something, if this AWS command returns anything at all, then we're going to go ahead and run a Terraform import command. And it is going to import this security group. That way, when we call a resource, it's not going to complain. And targets is plural, so we want to make sure that matches. Targets, targets. Okay, I'm going to save. I think all of that is good. I'm going to add another commit. And what do we do? We added a step for edit and for a step. Terraform stuff. I need to add it first. I forgot to add. So let's add the file. Now we can commit. And we can push to our staging. We can look at our current run. Okay. Oh, looks like it's hanging. Did I forget something again? Looks like it's hanging. Let's see. Check and report existing security groups. Who runs this? Why is it? Why is it asking for the path to this here? Oh, might still need that. Let's see. Let's look at our private key. Yes, private key. Okay. This does return the SSH directory. It didn't exist before. I don't know. I don't know if it needs this here. I don't know why it's showing up though. My indentation messed up anywhere. I think that looks good. Okay. I'm just gonna try. I really don't think this should be necessary. And this might even break, but let's try anyway. Oh, no, that's not what I wanted, actually. That doesn't make any sense, right? We would want it here after each Terraform command. So let's re-add it. Let's hit commit. Push origin stg. This can get canceled. And let's see. Womp womp. Okay. The import command expects two arguments. And let's see. Maybe it doesn't like the. Oh, let me see here. Am I messing up my quotes? Are these double quotes messing this up? I don't think it is. Okay, here are our two arguments. Oh, my placement is bad. Well, sorry. This has to go before the, yeah, before the address. Just weird. Okay, so right after the import, but before our arguments, let's add our option there. Let's do another commit, fix our option, import. Whoops, and I forgot to add, didn't I? Okay. Right. Your time is a charm. Nice. Okay. Our imports are successful. That means our Terraform apply should not fail. Oh no, but it did fail. The key pair ID underscore RSA does not exist. Okay, so when I made this change earlier, that was not the right change. So let's just go ahead and change that back to CP students. I cannot ever remember. CP class dash students. And I don't know if I need the PEM. I'm gonna try it without the PEM, without the PEM. Okay. Anyway, this is the gist of it, right? So a lot of trial and error. But as you can see, we've got a working Terraform environment. We are able to run Terraform commands. We are able to provision Terraform resources. We are able to run Terraform import to look for existing resources. And it's a fairly painless process of just having to go back and forth. What am I doing? Update, add, change back key name. Okay. Think it's working now. Nice. Nice. I should have added some outputs to show the IP address, but I forgot that. So let's just go over to our console manually and let's confirm that these exist. So my nodes exist. I can go to these instances. I can connect, hopefully, and ta-da! We have an EC2 that was created using Terraform that was kicked off through a GitHub Actions workflow. Now, why would you want to do this? This is part of building a pipeline, right? Before, when we were using Terraform to provision resources, we were still manually running these commands inside of our terminal, and that's not great, right? We want to automate as much of this as we can. So now let's pretend this is like a real production or staging application. We have multiple engineers in a team, or maybe even multiple teams working on this. Whenever anybody in that team or teams pushes changes to staging, it's going to kick off this entire workflow. It's going to go ahead and build um, a new instance of the app. I mean, as you can see, we're not quite there yet, right? We're not actually building anything. We're just provisioning resources. But this is the start of something like that. And with that, this is pretty much all that was going to be covered today. Actually, a little more than what was in the README, but if you need to go through it again, you'll go through it again, and that repetition is good. And in the meantime, we'll have this recording. So let's go back to today's README. And let's just see if, okay, cool. So there is an assignment. Shoot. It's the assignment. It's a 3-day assignment. Yes, go ahead and get started on this. Anyway, even if you don't come back to it for a few weeks, I think we're replacing day one of week 16 with some unit testing, right? So we'll set up a Python environment as well to set up some unit tests. And if you have this ready to go by then you will be able to follow along the demo. Okay, I'll be around. Go on, sorry.
So cool. Ready?
Awesome. I'll be around. I'll open up breakout rooms. If you have questions, I'll be here. And let's meet back at 9 and have one or two demos.